Hi everyone, welcome back to Pens and Ponderings. That was very awkward for me to say that since I changed my YouTube channel name. Today's video is actually a very special one. I'll be answering 8 pen-related questions that have been going around in the journaling and fountain pen community. These questions actually originally started from two amazing YouTubers, Simone from Simone and Liane from Liane Likes. Two amazing people who I really look up to. So their idea behind these questions is to bring all of us together through a shared love of pens and journaling. And as a small YouTuber, I thought this would be the perfect way to join in and sort of introduce myself to this lovely community. Honestly, this is why I started this channel, is to share my passion for journals, stationery, and of course, fountain pens. And sharing how I started my fountain pen journey feels like the most natural way to do that. I don't know why I didn't start with this to begin with. So, grab your favorite pen and let's dive in. All right, for the first question, do you have different uses for different pens? Quick answer is absolutely. I definitely assign pens based on how I use them. For instance, for my work planner, which is a Hobonichi Weeks, I gravitate towards fine nibs because of the small grid. So like right now, I'm using this Sailor 1911 standard seed nettle jellyfish, and sometimes I switch it to the Sailor Pro Gear Slim Shikiori Manyo because they're both so precise. And there's no smudging, which is always a good thing. In the beginning of the year, I actually used my Pilot vanishing point for 2 months because, again, for the writing precision. So yeah, essentially for only fine nibs for my weeks or my work planner. For my memory journal though, this is where it gets a little difficult to give a straight answer. I normally would ink 7 pens for the whole month, and that is very intentional. I handpick them, and how I handpick them is dependent on my mood or so many other reasons. It could be because I haven't used it in a while, or I liked it so much that I'll reuse it for that month, but maybe with a different ink. Or maybe because it's a new pen and I want to try it out. So there's really no rhyme or reason or on how I pick these pens. It all boils down to vibes, I guess. When I'm jotting down quick notes, like for meetings or just writing notes for myself, for some reason, I always go for my less expensive pens, like the Kakunos, yeah, something like that, or my Kavekos or my Jinhaos, because I write fast and I write hard on the paper. I don't worry much, ruining the nib, I guess. Whereas when I'm doing my journaling, that's a whole different set. I have to be more mindful, so I'm forced to write slow. And that to me actually is the therapy that fountain pen is providing me, is when I use it, I don't see the pen as a regular object that I can write with. It sort of becomes an extension of my emotions or my mood. It's a very existential moment for me. It's really hard to explain. But speaking of journaling, I also use 2 pens, 2 of my TWSBI 580. I can't find the other one, and that is stressing me out right now. But I usually use these 2 for to create, like, for titles or little banners on my journal. I have one broad and one medium that I use interchangeably. So these pens will usually have my really high sheening inks and or the ones with the shimmer, because these pens handle it so well, really really well. And then for my doodles, I usually only use these two, the Kakuno and the Preppy, again because sometimes you're in a meeting, I don't need to take down notes, I just listen. So I tend to doodle every time. So I use these. I just grab these. This is always in front of me on my desk. So yeah, that's for doodling. And then finally, I also have workhorse pens. I didn't grab the other ones, but this is the Pilot, Platinum 823. And I have a couple of Twisbys that I kind of switch it up, that I always, they're always inked, and I take them everywhere with me. And these are the only pens that I use for my EDC planner journal. I call that as my dashboard. Like, basically that goes with me everywhere, anywhere I go. So if I have any ideas or things that I want to talk about in my memory journal later on, I write everything there. So I always use this and a Twisby, at least one Twisby. Yeah, this one I just cleaned out. This had I think it's Urban Lidete. I changed my mind now, so I'm changing the ink. Still deciding what to put in here, but yeah. So those are my workhorse pens. So at a given point, I would have more than 7 pens inked up because they all have specific usage, right? So yeah, just to answer that question. And just to summarize it, so I have work pens, journal pens, title pens, or at least that's what I call them, doodle or quick notes pens, and I have workhorse pens. All right, for the second question, how do you choose the inks and pens you'll use next? Well, let me tell you, it's chaos. It's beautiful chaos, though. It's completely random, honestly. As I mentioned earlier, I might ink 7 pens. I might ink 10 or 15. I might even re-ink the same pen 3 times in a row. I just go by mood, right? With inks, sometimes I want shimmer, sometimes I want more shading. It really boils down to the vibe, right? So how I pick them is always the fun part, though. So I have this card organizer that I use for my swatches, and I would usually just hold the pen like this, like that, and while I'm flipping through it and see if something matches, yeah. So for instance, this one, even though this is more like a brown, orange, and a red with a red resin, I actually use blue ink for this one. So because I can, right? In the beginning, though, it always has to be a complete match, right? In the beginning, I think we all kind of do that. But as you get into this hobby, you will really find yourself evolving and be more adventurous with your pen and ink matching. And that process is always the fun part for me. I think I already answered how I pick my pens, but for the inks, again, as you saw, I don't own a lot of inks. That at one point, I, for some reason, picked 3 red pens to use that month. And just because all 3 shared the same ink. Because I can, And surprisingly, because of their differences in the nibs and the flow, you can see some minor differences on paper when it dries. So some are more darker or lighter than others. I think one of them was feathering a little bit, so it had a little bit of texture. And the other one, because it's using an ebonite feed, it was super wet, so you can see the properties really well. So personally, using the same ink for different types of pens can be a good idea to see how the ink reacts for different types of nibs. And as I mentioned earlier, lately I just ink with whatever I think complements the pen. Like this one, for example, right? If I want to use a blue ink on a red pen, who's going to check me? Who? Right? The answer is no one. It's my pen. I can do whatever I want, right? So yeah, there you go. That's how I choose my inks and pens. All right, for the next question, which pen do you prefer for longer writing sessions? Well, the quick answer to this is my Esterbrook and Leonardo Momento Grandes. Those are my go-to pens because they are both so comfortable in my hand. But of course, since I don't ink them every month, I will use the next best thing that is close to the weight and length. For instance, this month, I don't have any Leonardos or Esterbrooks inked up. I will use, well, if I'm feeling chatty in my journal, I will use my Opus 88 Coloro Red or my, which one is this? Zodiac Pen Galaxy Prime, because they're equally as big as Leonardo and an Esterbrook, and they're both pretty light. So, but if I accidentally start a long writing session with something else, I'll just roll with it, I will, although sometimes I have to say, I will switch pens in the middle of me writing, especially if I'm using one of my metal bodied ones, because they really start to wear in my hand and cause writing fatigue. Like for instance, this one, oh my God, this one is so pretty. This is the Monteverde Regatta Mondrian. This is a heavy pen. Oh my God! Don't even post this. It's so heavy right here. So I don't post this. In the middle of me using this, I would switch sometimes because it's really heavy. This one too, the Diplomat Arrow. This one is really heavy, but it's so juicy. I love writing with this. Sometimes I just have to rest my hands for about a minute or two. Then I'll continue writing with it because it's such a nice pen too. But it's heavy, so it's not my go-to. If I'm intentional to write really long, then yes, I will definitely pick my lighter pens for that. Girthier pens tend to be easier on the grip, and not posting it's less stress on your hand. And also, I think the nib also plays a big part with that, right? Like number 6 Yovo nibs are just perfect for me, right? Number 8 nibs tend to become awkward when you're writing because how the nib is so much larger and you have to sort of adjust how you grip the pen. I mean, it's doable, of course, but it's just awkward at the beginning, that's all. But yeah, so which pen do I prefer? I prefer lighter and I would say medium-sized pens, like I mentioned, the Esterbrook or the Leonardo Momento Grandes. All right, the fourth question. What is your all-time favorite pen? This is the most difficult question to answer. It's like asking who is your favorite child, and I still have not tried a lot of pens that I want to try. So I'm gonna rephrase this question to what is your favorite pen of the moment or at the moment? So if you ask me right now, at this very minute, my favorite is my Leonardo Momento Magico Amethyst. It's just something about this pen that just makes me happy every time I pick it up. The resin, the weight, the nib, everything is just perfect. And I think because of the color too, like I think lavender is something that really evokes happiness with me. I don't know, like I'm actually surprised I don't have a lot of purple or lavender pens. you know, and I'm not even sure if they make a lot of them. I know, I think Sailor, is it Sailor or Platinum makes Lavande? I think it's Sailor. I can't remember. That one I want to get. But yeah, anyway, I digress. But yeah, so this is one of my favorite pens. I cleaned this up. I used it all last month. I cleaned it up, and this one actually has an Architect nib, which is amazing. And I know I'm going to answer that question later on. But yeah, it's a very good combination for me. The size, the weight, the color of the resin. It's a very peaceful looking pen. There you go. So this is my current all-time favorite, I guess. But yeah, so that will be it. All right, fifth question. What is your favorite nib size? Well, I used to only get fine nibs when I first started with fountain pens, and I think mainly because, you know, I came from the bullet journaling world where we use a lot of, you know, gel pens and ballpoints and roller balls. So I'm familiar with that size, and I write small anyway, as you can see. So it just made sense that I transition to fine, or I start with a fine. And then as I evolved, as everyone does, now I am totally loving my medium nibs. I think they're like the Goldilocks size for me. It's just perfect for everything. This one is a medium. I think so. This is a medium. No, they're all medium. Sorry, they're all mediums. But yeah. I don't know why. Like I still have yet to enjoy my broad nibs. Like I said earlier, I only use broad nibs for like titles or like big cursive letters or words. I don't use them to journal because, again, I write really small, and for some reason I'm trained to write on inside the grid if I'm writing with a pen. So right now I would say medium is my favorite because it's just perfect. Some of my mediums can actually handle shimmer inks very well. Some cannot still, but you know, that's a whole different topic. But yeah, I think I believe my favorite nib size right now would be a medium. And one day I will try a broad nib for journaling, and maybe even a stub one day. So, all right, sixth question. What is your favorite nib grind? So I'm fairly new to fountain pens. It's not even a year yet, but the Architect nib, hands down, is my favorite right now because I don't write in cursive. So line variation really doesn't matter much to me. But architects give me that cool horizontal vertical contrast that it makes my writing look good without trying too hard. It just goes so well with how I write. So although for these coming pen shows, I am currently selecting some pens that I would like to be grounded to maybe a cursive smooth italic or the Naginata Togi. I'm very curious about those two, so I want to experience those two grinds. So hopefully at the DC pen show or the San Francisco pen show, I can find some Nibmeisters. Well, I'm actually looking at, you know, going to Kirk Spear and Gina Salarino for an extra Architect nib, and then for Kirk Spear, maybe I'll do the cursive style italic, and I will find someone to do the Naginata for me, or maybe they can do it. I don't know. But yeah, so right now it's the Architect nib. It's just because the way I write. It just makes sense. I I don't write in cursive. I should, you know, but I don't. I hate my I hate my cursive penmanship. I really do. Especially when I'm taking notes. When I'm taking notes, surprisingly, I write in cursive, but only I can understand it. Oh gosh. But anyway, yep, those are that is my favorite nib grind. All right, seventh question. If you could only use one ink for the rest of your life, what would it be? This question is wild. That's all I'm gonna say. Wild. There are thousands of inks out there, and I've barely, barely scratched the surface. Uh, this is really difficult. So, yeah, right before I start filming, I was flipping through my little book of swatches, and it's really tough. Like, I like red inks and I like dark inks, so I know I like the Diamine Writer's Blood. That's one of my favorites. I also like Lidite from Urban, and I'm not really fond of green inks, although I'm obsessed with this ink. This is the Van Diemen's Liquid Luck that went with this pen. This is I love this. I love this green, but it's not my favorite. Like I can't use green every single time, right? So next one that I was thinking of was the Diamine Earl Grey. Oops, sorry, Diamine Earl Grey. I love this shade. For some reason, it is gray, but it has some purple shading. I don't know. Like I love. Do you see it? I love it. So again, if I have to choose right now, right? Like if all my inks will be gone and I can only have one, I will probably say the Diamine Earl Grey. Only because it's more neutral. It can go with different pens. Like I still love my Writer's Blood and the Lidite, but I don't know. It's very specific colors, right? The Earl Grey is more neutral, so I would say Diamine Earl Grey, which I don't think I used on my current pens right now. Did I? No, I haven't. But anyway, yes, Diamine Earl Grey is my favorite. Eighth question. What is an absolute deal breaker for you with pens or with inks? This is a very, very interesting question. For pens, pretty easy actually. The color is very important to me. So with that said, I do not own any solid black or solid white pens. It's just not my thing. If someone right now hands me a Montblanc Meisterstück 149 in black, I will graciously accept it. Thank the person with a smile, but best believe I will sell that on eBay the next day. Or if I choose to keep it, I will never grab it. That's the truth. Even with the Esterbrook, and I love Esterbrook pens. Even with the Esterbrook ST Winter White, it's not a solid white, but you'll never catch that in my collection either. I just love my colorful swirls. Just give me swirls. That's it. Oh, not that one. This one. Love my swirls. All right. If you really want to know, like if you look up the Leonardo Momento Grande Titanium, I think it's Titanium 8 Primary Manipulation 4, that is the perfect swirl for me. It's really hard to find now, so if you have it and you want to sell it, let me know. For nibs, there's two hard no's for me. It's the size and the temperament. I don't think I can say this. I'm sorry. I think I can say this with a straight face. I don't think I will ever own an extra fine nib, for the simple reason that I write really hard, and I will only end up poking holes all over the page. No lie. I even have to pull back a little bit when I'm writing with my Sailor Fine. So yeah, so no extra fine for me. As for the temperament, if I get a new pen and it starts to skip or do hard starts, it's a deal breaker. I will never get any pen from that brand anymore. It's pretty harsh, but it takes so little for me to get turned off. So yeah, unfortunately, sorry. I just need a pen that works, right? I mean, that's what you got the pen for. So if it doesn't write, then what is the point? For inks is also very simple. I only like legible inks. If it's not legible, especially in low lighting, it's a no for me. Like the other day, good example. The other day, I was looking at some inks, and I saw, and everybody's talking about the Sailor Manyo, haha. And I said, oh, like from the bottle, it looks nice. From the swatching, it looked nice. But, swatching sometimes it's overly saturated. So you really don't get a sense of the shade or the color. So I Googled it for like writing samples. Oh my God, you can barely see it. So I'm like, oh no. So yeah, I removed it immediately from my cart. If I'm writing something, I just need to see it. Point blank. So yeah, those are my absolute deal breakers. All right, well, there is a bonus question. Which pen do you think everyone should try at least once? I think I rephrased this. I think the original question was, which pen do you think everyone needs? I think something like that. So everybody's different, right? Like everyone has a different taste with pens, and it could vary in sizes and the color, the nib size, all that. So I thought maybe it's more fair to ask like which pen you think everyone should try at least once, right? So for me, this was a really hard question actually. I mean, because like if you know me, I would probably say Leonardo or Esterbrook or the Platinums and Pilots, but those are kind of like a given, right? Because they have such good reputation in the whole fountain pen community. What I thought was the best answer for this is the Magna Carta. I only own two Magna Cartas. I always think that Magna Cartas are seriously underrated. I think the craftsmanship and the performance, it deserves more love. That's all I'm gonna say. Like the craftsmanship on that pen is just amazing. Like it's super light. It's a perfect size for me because I love girthier pens. That feed. Oh my God. I think what I have are the ebonites at least. So, oh my God, it just keeps flowing and flowing. And yeah, I think they're not as popular as the other pens on the same price point. But to me, like if you ever, catch yourself in a pen show and Magna Carta's there, I would at least try it. Honestly, it's such a good pen. Really underrated, but such a good pen. So yeah, that's my quick answer for that one. All right, that is it for my 8 pen questions and 1 bonus question. This was honestly so much fun to do, but I'd love to hear your answers in the comments. Or if you're a fellow content creator, consider this as your invitation to make your own video. I'm looking at you, Lau, from Kenshin Crafts. If you enjoyed this one, please give it a like and subscribe for more pen and journaling goodness. Until next time, happy writing and keep pondering. Bye.